All right, we're back with the last segment of this divisional breakdown. And of course, we saved the best for last as the Metropolitan Division featuring the Capitals, Flyers, Penguins, Islanders, Blue Jackets, Hurricanes, Rangers, and Devils. We have a lot to talk about, so we're going to go ahead and get right into it, starting with the top team in the Metro at the moment, which is the Washington Capitals. 84 points, 39, 19, and 6. The luckily part for teams below them is that they're only 3 and 7 in their last 10, losing their most recent game to the the Winnipeg Jets. So I'm gonna go ahead and give my opinion. I'm pretty sure, obviously, they're making the playoffs, no doubt about it. But I just obviously think they're gonna choke, like they used to, even if it's the Penguins. So they can definitely look forward to getting knocked out anytime between the first round and the Eastern Conference Final. Now, you're looking at a situation with them last year where they obviously were favorited easily to knock out the Hurricanes. And somehow the Hurricanes managed to pull it off in overtime against the Capitals in Game 7 to knock them out. I guess you can just say that was luck. Capitals weren't happy at all because they were definitely planning to repeat themselves as a back-to-back champions, but the Hurricanes denied that. So this whole season pretty much they've been not too far from the top, and they're expected to get pretty far, but not to the final in my opinion. We're on the phone with my friend Eric, and we're going to get his opinion about some of these teams, so I'll start with you in the Capitals.
Capitals. Capitals. Man, my question is, why is Ovechkin considered to be such like a hated player by some people? Oh, that's right, because of his attitude. Got you. So, Ovechkin aside, first off, I'm going to say congratulations on getting 700 career goals. Hopefully you don't do better. Hopefully you don't pass Yager. That's all I'm going to say. But, the Capitals should be the number one team in the Metropolitan, and they are. What's surprising and concerning is how they don't have the lead that I expected. And it's not like they've dealt with big injuries. So they need to figure out what the heck's going on with that team. I don't know if there's chemistry problems. I don't know if the team was just so, narrowly focused on getting Ovechkin 700 that they were okay with dropping 4 games or whatever, including, getting shut out by some bad teams. But Washington, I don't see them making a big run in the playoffs this year unless they heat up at the right time. But with the way things have been going, it's not going to happen. They need to figure out what they're doing and quick. But I don't think the Capitals are going to do it this year. I think they're going to be, depending on who they play, one and done. But I could see them advancing to round 2 and faltering. Again, it really depends on who they play. There are some teams that are matchup nightmares, and some teams that are matchup dreams for them. So
Right. That's true. I mean, at the same time, there have been teams they've faced, like the Bruins, where they've been successful in winning, even when the Bruins are, they've playing better and obviously ranked in the league, they were better at the time. But in terms of the Capitals, it's like up until, I think it was middle to end of January, they were at top of the league. And they had a decent cushion between 5 and 10 points, and then they slacked. They were losing a couple here and there, and then they recently were on like a 2 or 3 game losing streak, and they slowly become inconsistent. But obviously, it's at the point where they have a perfect cushion for the playoffs. It's just a matter of how far will it carry over, whether it's the inconsistency or the playing of producing goals and everything they need to get past the first round. We'll have to see how that turns out.
I'm going to quickly say shout out to Tom Wilson, my favorite player in the NHL.
Tom Wilson sucks. Anyways, moving on to your favorite team, as we have the Philadelphia Flyers, currently only sitting 3 points behind the Capitals for first in the Metro, but they are 3 points ahead of the Penguins, which are under them. The Flyers sit 38, 20, and 7 at the moment. 8-2 in their last 10, which is pretty good, and they're on a 6-game winning streak. We'll start with you on this one. This is your team. Tell me what you think and predictions, etc.
I'm thinking, is their game against Minnesota over right now at the time of the recording?
It's still playing. Still playing. Okay. In fact, your boy Wilson just scored a goal.
Oh, boy.
It's 42,
yeah,
but,
so as of right now, they are effectively only 1 point behind the Capitals, not 3. But with the present results of them being up 4-2, it's looking like they will win, but anything's possible. It's hockey. But, yeah, the Flyers, they're surprising me. I wasn't expecting them to do this. I was expecting a good team. I was expecting a playoff appearance this year, but I was expecting a wild card. Of course, it's still too soon to tell. The Metropolitan is so closely kept together that a slump of 3 or 4 games can cost you.
Right.
And will cost you. Now, Philadelphia is a unique team right now. I think they have the perfect blend of veterans and young kids and guys in their prime. But I don't know how long it's going to last. I think Philadelphia is really, of course, I'm biased, I'll admit it, but I think Philadelphia has a chance to be a dark horse contender for the Stanley Cup. I think if everything falls their way, I think what they need is Washington to knock out Boston and somebody else to take out Pittsburgh, and then I think they're going to make it. I think they're going to make the Stanley Cup. But I'm asking for a lot. So we'll see with Philly. They have a lot of young players that are doing great. You know, Travis Konechny's really stepped up this year, his 3rd year in the league. Couturier, again, is probably the front runner for being the best defensive-minded forward in the game. So they got some good players. And Kevin Hayes, I could go on about how Kevin Hayes has been playing for a while. But, you know, that team's in great position. And without the goaltending carousel that they had last year, where they set the record for most goalies in a single season with 8, they've only used 3 this year, to my knowledge, and that's because Carter Hart and Brian Elliott have stayed healthy for the majority of the season. You know, Carter Hart just coming back from like a month off. But Philadelphia, I think if they can stay healthy and if they can keep playing at this level that they're playing at, I think Philadelphia is a dark horse contender. I'm circling March 10th, Boston at Philadelphia. I think that game is going to influence my decision on them. I think if they can beat Boston handily, I will consider them cup contenders. But right now, they're a dark horse.
All right. In my opinion, just like you said, to be honest, I didn't think they were going to be as good as they are now, because a month ago, they were right around where the Hurricanes and Rangers were, just below the line. And with all these games that they're putting together to make wins that are definitely much needed at this time in the season, it's showing itself on the stats, and they're going up. And I believe they can finish the season ahead of the Caps if they continue this winning streak, obviously, and players are producing. Obviously, get well soon to Oscar Lindblom.
Of course, Oscar Strong.
And yeah, as far as that, they're looking good. They're playing better than they've played since the beginning of the season, so things are just going to go only up from here, hopefully. All right, so now we're turning to the Pittsburgh Penguins, a team that, similar to the Flyers, started off kind of rusty and now is kind of gaining its ground. The only thing, unlike the Flyers, is they're on a 6-game losing streak instead of a 6-game winning streak. 37, 21, and 6 current record, and 3-7 in their last 10. Pretty much, I don't got much to say about them. To be honest, all I have to say is if they want to keep going up in the standings, and obviously the most likely to making the playoffs, all I've got to say is just they need the key players: Malkin, Crosby, Letang, and Ricola, and all the key players that they have, whether scoring power play goals or 5-on-5 goals. maybe even shorthanded goals. They need them to produce, and that's going to pull them forward. But I definitely don't think they're going to catch the Flyers or Capitals because they seem to have sustainable, uh, not necessarily leads, but sustainable players to the point where they can keep themselves a cushion enough, even though they're only 3 points ahead behind the Flyers. But I think the Penguins are finished about where they are right now. And as far as playoff wise, I'm going to say that they're. I feel like honestly, it's just going to be a similar mirror image of last year, getting knocked out in the first round. Because they're not really. Like in terms of the Eastern Conference, you look at the Atlantic and the Metro. Yeah, they're in the top 6 teams to make the playoffs pretty much for sure. But among those, they're not in the top 3 to go to the conference final or win the cup at the moment, in my opinion. What about you?
Bias aside, I'm not a fan of Sidney Crosby. He is my second least favorite player in the league. He has been surpassed by Brady Tkachuk. But it's surprising to me that this team was doing so well, despite the fact that it lost both Crosby and Malkin at different times. Basically, the two of them didn't play together for the vast majority of the season. And now that they have both of the players back, the team's just struggling. It all's lying on the goaltender's shoulders. And they're doing that ride the hot hand approach. And it's not working right now because both goalies are struggling. And that's kind of surprising. I was expecting Matt Murray to be one of, if not the best goaltender in the Metropolitan. He played so poorly to start the season, and now everyone he's just doing so bad, and it's surprising to me. But I'm just shocked that they're on a 6-game skid, but I don't think it's going to last. I think they're going to turn it around. Do I think they have the capability to make a big run in the playoffs? Anyone can. I think they can, but I don't think they will. All I'm saying is right now, if the playoffs started today, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, always a classic series, especially in the playoffs.
That is definitely true, and it's definitely one that everybody would want to see, whether Flyers or Penguins fans.
And obviously, go Flyers.
And go Flyers for you, so good luck to them. Now moving on to the Islanders. Islanders currently in the number 1 wild card spot, last I checked, which is earlier today. They're on a 3-game losing streak, which has done nothing really because the teams below them have been losing at the same time. So they're kind of just still hovering around that first wild card, 35-21-8, and 3-5-2 in their last 10. This is probably one of the teams I really, besides the Devils, one of the other ones I really don't have to say much about them. Obviously, they've been inconsistent lately, but it's not going to be enough to, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be enough to bump them below the line within the next month. Other than that, of course, they got the cup-winning coach from 2018 behind the bench. So they have his great ideas, and he knows exactly what to go through and how to stay in the playoffs and get far in the playoffs when they make it, which is what I think they'll end up doing. As far as how far they'll go, they're one of the teams I really can't determine because they're one of the teams that could say, like the Hurricanes last year, the luck is there, but it's not there, and it all depends on how they go game by game. What about you?
First off, I would like to give them a round of applause for finally getting your home ice situation fixed for a season, at least.
True.
Good job, Islanders. You finally have a home ice, and it's not a basketball stadium. Good job. Islanders, that just deserved its own shout out just because of how awful the Barclays Center has been for them. But the Islanders, I don't know. They're in such a weird position. If they had Tavares, I think they would be leading the Metropolitan, but they don't have him, so I'm not going to play a game of what-ifs. I don't think they're going to make a big run. I think if they're hot at the right time, they will. But I don't see it happening. I think they're a good team, but I don't think they're going to make a run this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, last year I think they played better last year and they had better chances.
Yep.
This year it's just kind of slight slack off, but I don't think it's over. I think the next couple seasons they'll continue to make it in the playoffs. They just need to work on building a core, more of a core offense. Because obviously the big loss for them within the last year or two was Tavares. So we'll have to see about that. And now we're going to the bottom four. Columbus being the one that occupies the second wild card. And so from now on, these last four teams are all kind of in the question mark. We'll start with the Blue Jackets. Currently 32, 21, and 14. And they're sitting with a one-game winning streak. And in the second wild card. As far as them, to be honest, I didn't think they would be in the last wild card at the moment. I would think they would have been a lot lower. Obviously, not only because they gave away Bobrovsky and a lot of those players, Duchesne, after their quote unquote dream run last year. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, to sum it up, I'm just gonna say, if they make the playoffs, they'll be just barely, and they might get crushed. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, to be fair, we all thought they were going to get crushed by Tampa last year, and they pulled out the broomsticks and swept Tampa until they later got swept themselves. But we'll forget that they got swept to end their miracle season. That's okay, guys. But Columbus is surprising me. I was not expecting them to be in contention, but I think they just had a good spurts, and I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think that, unfortunately, Carolina or Florida is going to surpass them. I think right now Florida has a better chance than Carolina, but just judging by how Carolina's been playing, we'll get to them in a minute. But Columbus, I'm surprised that you're doing so good. Enjoy the season. I think your coaching staff deserves a lot of credit for how you've been doing, especially with the fact that they lost Cam Atkinson for a while and Seth Jones for a while, and they're still doing decent, tells you that the coaching staff deserves a round of applause of their own. But, we'll see how they do. I think this upcoming season, the 2020-2021 season, can be a big one for them. If they can become like a small market NHL team and just start acquiring decent players to smaller contracts, I think they can be kind of revamp the league a little bit.
Yep.
But I don't know if they have the, capability to do it. Fingers crossed for them, because I've never had a problem with Columbus, other than the Buckeyes. But, we'll see how they do. I don't think they're going to make a run this year, though.
All right. We'll have to see. They're 2-8 in their last 10, so you might be right there. Them just falling below the line. All right, now moving on. Bottom three we go. Next we have the Carolina Hurricanes. 35, 24, and 5. 4-4-2 in their last 10. Currently on a 3-game losing streak after losing yesterday's game to, oh my god, why I keep blanking on this team?
The Montreal
Canadiens. What a surprise. They, as far as them go, here's the thing. They're just, in my opinion, their season as well is mirroring last year's image. They always hover right either above or right below the line. Last year, they made it in one spot above the Canadiens to get the last spot in the league in wild card number 2. Unfortunately for them, they are hit with that, tough first rounder against the Capitals. But that's what you get for just making the playoffs. You deserve to. No offense, but I feel like you deserve to get against a really good team to prove yourself playoff worthy. But other than that, it's, in my opinion, I'm on the fence. I don't know if they're going to make it or not. If they continue this losing streak, The other teams around them, like the Rangers, I know the Rangers have lost their last two as well. We'll talk about them. But I feel the Rangers will get that last spot over Carolina and Columbus, in my opinion, rather than the Panthers. Yeah, other than that, they're just something. They were playing better in the fall up until January, well above wild card spots, and they just slacked off. And obviously losing Holla, losing Walmart, they're just sticking in there and trying to fight it out, and making the playoffs will prove whether or not they fought hard enough. What about you?
Look, their goalies have been hurt. So, of course, I'd like to say congratulations to the emergency goalie for stepping in and shocking the hockey world and embarrassing Toronto.
That's true.
Toronto if I was a Toronto fan, I would have just taken off my jersey, walked away and just not talked about hockey for the next week. Not looked at anything hockey, not looked at anything hockey for the next week just because of the embarrassment of losing to an emergency goaltender. Like, come on. That's just sad. But Carolina, we'll see how they do. I don't think they're going to... They're struggling right now because of the injuries to their goaltenders. It's showing. They have a lot of younger players. It's showing. A team like them, a team like Carolina, if they go in and they get matched up against a team like Philadelphia or Boston, they're going to get slaughtered. Those two teams are built to beat a team like Carolina. Carolina is built to beat teams that, like Carolina, I think could pull off an upset against a team like Tampa just because of how they're built. But they're not going to be able, they can't take out a team that can match them in grittiness or just has much better depth. So Carolina, I think best case for them is a first round loss in the playoffs. And it doesn't help that they don't have a home crowd either.
Oof, roasted. But
and yeah, I am saying that because the last game I watched with them, it was like there was a away team. The away team was the home team at points in that game, and that's never good.
Yep,
especially when the away team's a West Coast team and you're an East Coast team.
Right. I mean, you're looking at the benefits because they made the playoffs last year. There was a spike in their ticket attendance. Yeah, they got more fans, but well, I shouldn't put it that way. Don Cherry quotes, they got more front runners. but like you said, whenever an away team comes, whether it's the Flyers, Penguins, Rangers, Islanders is a huge one. They make it like a third of the arena. They fill the arena, of course, on a Saturday night, but a third of it is easily the away team, and obviously the team, with better playing and stuff, that will be determined whether or not the number of away fans will still be as big as it is. But yeah. All right, let's finish off these bottom two here. We got the New York Rangers, 35-26-4. They're 7-3 in their last 10. It's one of the reasons why I feel they would get that last playoff spot. In terms of them, Lundqvist, in my opinion, is kind of garbage. He played his the other day, today, was it?
Yeah, when they lost the Flyers.
His first game in a month, and he got blown out. I don't know what to say. His career is definitely looking like it's coming to a close. And the other goalies they have, whether it's Chesterton, I think I pronounced that wrong, Chesterton or Georgiev, which I think is injured at the moment. They're definitely not reliable backups, and obviously they're a sign of a rebuild. So obviously, if they make the last spot, it'll be great for them to look great on the team, but they're not predicted to go any further past the first round easily.
Here's the thing with them. They've had a couple unfortunate injuries. And obviously, I watched their game against the Flyers on Friday night. So I saw Kreider get her fractured foot. He's out for the season, probably. So that's a big loss. And then the other thing is, don't forget, Gorgiev and what the heck's his name? Buchnevich?
Oh, Buchnevich, yeah.
Buchnevich. They were in that car crash.
Oh, yeah,
and
true.
That, it's not a big thing, but at the same time, it is. So I don't know how that's going to really affect them. I know that they both have returned from their injuries sustained in the car crash. But at the same time, are you mentally 100%? I've been blessed not to be involved in a car crash, but I have been on a school bus 2 different times that have been, involved in accidents. And both of them weren't bad accidents. But, it's kind of like you get a different outlook on things and you're thinking about it more. So I can't imagine how it is to be in a car crash and all of a sudden you have to go play on ice in front of millions of people.
Right.
Either in the stadium and on TV. So I feel like I would have anxiety issues myself. So we'll see. And then, of course, losing Kreider, who's arguably your best player this season, hurts a lot, too. So I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think their surge is done. I don't see it continuing just because of the injuries. It's a shame, but they are doing better than I expected them to. I was expecting them to be a distant 7th seed in the Metropolitan, but here they are right on the outskirts of making the playoffs. So kudos to you guys. You're doing great. The future's bright for the Rangers, but this isn't your year, in my opinion.
All right, we're now finishing off the Metro with probably one of the teams that was within the top 3 of having an outstanding season, but completely blew it off. Earlier in the year, they had the acquisition of Simmons, which has come and gone. PK Subban, which is still on the team. And then, of course, they had the first-round pick from last year, Nick Hughes.
Jack Hughes.
Sorry, did I say Nick Hughes? I meant Jack Hughes. Nick Hughes is his brother, if I'm not incorrect.
You mean Quinn Hughes?
Oh, whoops.
Where's Nick Hughes coming from?
All right, no, I think there is another Hughes though. Might be Nick Hughes, but anyways, all right. So let's talk about the Devils. 62.
Hang on. I just looked up Nick Hughes and nothing has come up.
Oh,
who is Nick Hughes?
I don't know. I don't know who Nick Hughes is.
Who the heck is Nick Hughes? There's a guy comes up that's a CEO at some company I've never heard of before.
I don't know. Maybe he works for Thunder.
I don't know
who
the heck Nick Hughes is.
All right. So I clearly mistaken that name. I was talking about. Clearly, I meant Quinn Hughes, which also sucks. Hughes? No. I was talking about Quinn Hughes of the other team.
Okay.
That's it. All right, Jack Hughes is the guy I'm talking about in the Devils. Yes, but he sucks.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go on a little rant right here. Jack Hughes sucks. PK Subban sucks. This dude. What happened to the New Jersey Devils? All right, with Simmons, Subban, Hughes, Nico Hischier, ketchup man behind the bench. Everything was going for them. They lost the ketchup man. They traded away Simmons. And the thing is now a wreck now. And I don't know why. I don't know why at all that Lindsey Vonn is still in a relationship with this guy.
First of all, you're not even mentioning the fact that they had Taylor Hall to start the season.
Dude, he
you're
sucks.
Just completely ignoring Taylor
Hall sucks.
And you're forgetting the fact that they traded for Nikita Gushchev, too. That's another good player that they have.
Hall sucks. So, it's like Hall wasn't even on.
Paul Mary's solid, too.
It's like Hall wasn't even on the team the last 3 or 4 seasons. Honestly.
How bad is it that this team cut their starting goalie from the season in Corey Schneider, and nobody claimed him, so he got sent to the minors, and they had to call him up again because they needed him. How? I don't even know what to say to this.
Come on, that's terrible. I'd rather have David Ayers than Corey Schneider. Come on.
What are you doing? Why do you have Corey Schneider on your team still? You should just cut him and cut your losses, walk away. There's so many better players in free agency that you could probably pick up.
Wait, hold on. You mind if I bring something up? Weren't they the ones that just recently acquired McIntyre?
Yes.
In exchange for Domingue? They gave Domingue away, if I'm not correct?
Zane McIntyre was on this team. Well, is presently in this team's minor leagues. So what? Like, I don't even know what to say to that. Zane McIntyre. I know. Like, Domingue is a good player. He was your backup goalie. That's why you got rid of Corey Schneider, and then you trade him straight up for Zane McIntyre. Yep. I don't know what to say to that.
Domingue also was outstanding in Tampa, by the way, before a couple of years ago, obviously.
For the heck of it, I just looked up Zane McIntyre. He got a shutout today in his debut for the Binghamton Devils. So, congratulations? Question mark. I guess.
Ridiculous.
But you're still a bum. He's still not good. But the Devils are kind of like the Cleveland Browns of the NHL. You know, they started the season, I should say, with all these bigger names, bigger personalities, and, you know, all the hype, but Hughes hasn't lived up to it. Nico Hischier got hurt early on. He hasn't lived up to it. Mm-hmm. You know, Simmons really didn't live up to the hype, and now he's off the team. Subban has just been awful.
Yeah.
Recently, he's been doing okay, and then, of course, Hines was just, I don't know why they didn't fire him after the season last year. He obviously wasn't a good fit for the team.
That's true.
But the Devils need to just, let's just say the Devils need to figure themselves out by the end of next season, otherwise they're in big trouble.
Right, and I know Subban, there was rumors about Subban wanting to be traded and stuff, but that really hasn't gone anywhere.
Who's going to eat that contract?
And all the hype up into this year he had, whether it was on social media or... He just hasn't been producing, and the Devils for the last 3 seasons, maybe more, have been practically invisible to the Eastern, and definitely to the Metro, obviously. So, any last comments about the Devils?
The Devils need, if they want to have a chance, they need to potentially go into a rebuilding mode. And that means get rid of Corey Schneider, get rid of PK Subban, take what you can for them, and get some younger prospects to put out on the team. And you better hope that Nico Hischier and or Jack Hughes develop. So, yeah, the Devils are in trouble if they don't figure themselves out.
All right.
And make sure to cut Zane McIntyre too.
Definitely. I mean, I don't know. All right, so they'll finish up the Metropolitan Division. Nice little half-hour breakdown there of the Metro. And that will finish up the divisions. The next couple of videos, hockey-related, will probably be the Red Wings within the next couple weeks, probably towards the end of